Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. And then Valentino wants to know, why did you not choose a career in big law? Do you
Wow.
want
I
to
don't
answer
that was never really a big option for me. I guess I never had an idea or ambition to work in a big firm because I never really could identify with the type of work they were doing. Now, honestly, I think most people could identify maybe with the lifestyle that comes with big law in terms of the money and the supposed prestige and the travel and all that. But unfortunately, I think there's a lot of the big law myth has been dispelled. And what I've noticed is I've known Judy a long time. And when I first met Judy in the Academy of Trial Lawyers,
Mhm.
a lot of our friends worked not necessarily in big law, but worked in larger firms. And over the years, I've seen most of my friends and colleagues leave those large firms and create their own solo practice. But as far as why I didn't do career in big law, it doesn't resonate with me. I don't want to represent companies. I don't want to represent big businesses. I'm on the side of the consumer, the little person, and that doesn't mesh with what big law does.
Mhm. Yeah, and plus, I guess you were really privileged to have full scholarships to go to law school. That's so incredible. I didn't even know, you had these prestigious scholarships to go to UNC. So I guess that kept your options open where you didn't feel like you had to chase big law jobs to pay down your loans.
It did. I mean that can't be stated enough. I mean it's really important not to be facing six-figure overhead when you're getting your degree as you cross the stage at law school. So that really did open up opportunities for me. Even if I had the loan overhead, I probably would have tried to find a job working at legal aid or somewhere in the public sector that would have presumably at that time had some type of loan forgiveness or loan payback. But I was really fortunate not to have to make that decision and still yet not having to join big law. Of course, big law is not even as big as it used to be anymore. So
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Well, what do you think of big law? Well, that's an interesting question. I don't know if we want to be on the record for that, but big
uh,
law is usually good for people to help pay off their law school debt if you can get such a job. But again, I think even at a school at like UNC Law School, it's probably still like the top 5 or 10% that even get a shot at big law, like true big law firms that are international as opposed to bigger regional or southern law firms.
Yeah, Judy, I think you're on point. If you think about it, especially the smaller the law school in terms of national profile. I mean, Carolina is obviously a flagship school here in the state, and it does have some reputation outside of the state. But if you're at NYU, if you're at Harvard or Columbia, one of those places, those are the places where big law recruits people from. And like you said, though, there are a very small percentage of lawyers here who work for big law. Big law does certain things. Big law is meant to represent companies and corporations. It's what they do. They do it well. They scale up. They have the staff, the resources. They commit to that. And even though I'm a consumer lawyer, I'm not saying that all businesses are bad. I think that any business that operates with a profit motive but has a conscience and follows the rules and does the right thing, I'm plenty good with that. And if they're lawyers who are going to assist them in doing that, I'm all for that. Is big law worth it? If you're saying the money, I think you have to make a really, really important decision about that. And I think Judy could probably speak to that better than I can. And the reason I say that is because if you have a family, you have to really think about weighing the time considerations, that the time constraints that big law expects from you, the money you're going to make, the hours they want you to work, travel. I mean, what do you think about that question, Judy?
Mhm.
What would your response be?
Yeah. Well, my ex-husband went to Yale Law School and he worked for a very big,
Mm,
prestigious law firm in DC before he
hmm
became a professor at UNC. So that's
mm,
why we moved here.
hmm
And he just felt very unfulfilled working for
mm,
that big law firm. And many times he would have to work till 10 o'clock at night when we lived in the DC area. Sometimes he'd be told to just like pack up and fly out to London or fly up to New York City, but he couldn't
mm.
even have fun. It was no fun at all. You're just stuck there in the office the whole day and night. and barely have even any time to go back to your hotel to sleep. So
Mm-hmm.
even though it sounds so prestigious because you're jet setting across the country or the world, but most of my friends that did do big law, they either quit or they got basically laid off or fired after less than 3 to 5 years. And my old classmates at Georgetown, the ones that did become partners at some big firms like around California or New
Mm-hmm.
York, they're all men. So I don't know. I
Wow.
mean, I think that usually means that, you're not going to really have much life to take care of children if your goal in life is also to have a family and have children. Like I think most of those men are either, they're either single or divorced, or they have a housewife who's taking care of the
Mm-hmm.
kids, or they're gay and, don't
Mm-hmm.
don't want to have a traditional family with kids.
I think that those are all good points. I think when you talk about big law, I guess the theory is that it used to be the theory when we came out of law school that you would go to big law, you would work the 4 to 6 year period, and then you would eventually become a partner. And as I understand the big law model now, they have tiered partnership. So you can become a non-equity partner, so you don't have as much requirement to bring in revenue, and maybe you don't have as much of a requirement to meet hours, but you're still working a lot of hours. You still are really at their disposal. And I think what I've heard from a lot of people who work at big law is that they work there, they make really good money, but at some point they are not fulfilled because either they do not have the time to really spend the money and the time with the people they want to spend it with, or the work that they're doing, they don't feel like they're really making a difference, or it just does not fit with their personality. And so it could be that the way people leverage big laws that they do it for a period of time so they can earn income and make contacts, and then they escape. They do their own thing, whether it be practicing law with another firm, opening their own firm, or just doing something totally different. But I think the answer to that question depends on you and what you want out of life, and whether big law is going to allow you to do that.
Yeah. Actually, I just thought of one woman that I know who is a partner at a very big law firm around Chicago. We went to college together, and just out of
Mhm.
curiosity, I Googled her a while back. So I think she went to Columbia or some, Ivy League type law school after Berkeley.
Wow.
And then, it sounds like she does have children and she's married, but I mean, she's got to have a nanny, because I don't see how anybody can be a partner at a humongously big law firm. You're getting paid really, really well, but you have to work those long hours and potentially travel, and your
Hmm.
schedule could be unpredictable. So I think a lot of people that succeed in big law, if they do have children, they have to have a lot of family support, a stay-at-home spouse, or hire nannies to take care of their kids.
One thing I'll mention is that to the extent you've gotten these questions from people about the big law model, and it may be worth it to you to reach out to some of your colleagues and see if one of them would be
Mhm.
willing to come on and answer those questions directly. Because I'm
I
just
don't
kind of
know.
surmising, but
Yeah, yeah. I have asked some of my friends who worked in big law and went to Ivy League law schools, worked for the federal government, prestigious jobs in House counsel. But unfortunately, they all said no, they can't be on the show because
okay,
they can't like say anything really candidly, or it's not
wow.
proper for government lawyers to get on the show or say
Hmm.
anything. Yeah, so they're just concerned about what image they have to uphold and confidentiality, and not saying anything that could be construed as representing their employer. So
Hmm.
yeah, so it is hard to get the straight up, straight talk from people who are in the trenches of the legal profession. Yeah.
Wow.
So Serena asked, what advice do you have for people who consider going to law school? I'm a New York